All right, here we go. Hello, and thank you for watching this program on the 1500 form and ICD-10 pointing. My name is Dr. Marty Kotler. I'm the president of Target Coding. There's no audio taping or videotaping allowed, and any unauthorized reproduction, dispensing, forwarding, or copying of this Target Coding presentation is illegal. The information contained in this presentation is for educational purposes. It's not intended to be a substitute for your thorough clinical decision-making. Target Coding does not engage in providing legal services. CPT is a registered trademark of the AMA, and every attempt has been made to make certain that the information in this presentation is 100% accurate. However, it's not guaranteed. A little bit about myself before we get started. My name is Dr. Marty Kotler. I'm a certified professional compliance officer. I'm a certified billing and coding specialist. My areas of expertise are in compliance as it relates to billing, coding, documentation, Medicare, compliant cash plans and treatment plans, and HIPAA compliance. I'm an author of 10 compliance and documentation training manuals. I write articles to many publications and journals throughout the country, like Dynamic Chiropractic, Chiropractic Economics, the American Chiropractor, the American Academy of Professional Coders, Coding Edge, the Coding Institute. I also write articles for many state association newsletters throughout the country on billing, coding, and documentation, and I'm a guest speaker at many state association conferences. Okay, so let's begin now. The 1500 form, many years ago people would call it the HICFA form. Actually, people still nowadays call it the HICFA form, but it's, you could call it the HICFA form, you can call it the 1500 form, you can call it the universal health claim. There's a lot of terms for it. I call it the 1500 form. Now, this form, many people think it's a federal government form, and it's run by Medicare or the federal government. It's not the case. It's developed and maintained by an organization called National Uniform Claim Committee. You could check this company out at nucc.org. Now, Medicare insurance companies have input. They give recommendations and suggestions. That's why the form was replaced back, a few years ago, 4 years ago. Version 0212 was replaced with version 0805. I'm sorry, it's the opposite. Version 0212 replaced version 85. So this is what the form looks like. There are 33 boxes. Again, I just want to clarify. Version 0212 is the current version you should be using. So yeah, this is what the form looks like. There are 33 boxes. I'm going to go through many of these boxes. The most important ones, I'd like to go through the top half of the form first. The top of the form is 13 boxes or fields. I call them boxes. You can call them fields. There's a couple other terms for each one of these sections, but yeah, the top half has 13 boxes. Box 1, you choose Medicare, Medicaid, pretty straightforward. Group health. 1A is insured's ID number. Box 2 is the patient's name. 3 is the date of birth. 4, insured name. 5 is the patient's address. 6 is the relationship to insured. 7 is insured's address. 8, leave blank. 8 is reserved for NUCC use. Now, box 9 has 9A, B, C, and D. Let me just touch on these couple of boxes here, because there's a few things you'll need to do possibly with these boxes. So box 9 is where you're going to put other insured's name. If the patient has another insurance, like a secondary, a supplemental, whoever that plan is under, you'll put that person's name in 9, and then the policy number in 9A, and the insurance plan name, the health plan name, in 9D. So we're going to get back to those boxes in a few minutes. Now, box 10, is patient's condition related to employment, auto accident, a little close-up version of box 10. Is patient's condition related to employment, auto accident, other accident? So a patient comes in with Blue Cross Blue Shield, a regular patient, you're probably going to check no to those three choices. Patient comes in, it's not related to an on-the-job injury, it's not related to any type of auto accident or other accident, so you're probably checking no on most of your claims. Now, if you are a practice where you're 90% PI, then you're going to be checking yes to 10B on 90% of the claims. So now we'll go to box 11. So box 11 has basic information, insured's date of birth, other claim, 11C, insurance plan name, and look at 11D. 11D, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Is there another health plan? Is there another health plan? Yes or no? If it's no, then move on. If it's yes, you have to go back and complete items 9, 9A, and 9D. See, those are those three areas that I went through. So you're going to have some patients that have secondary insurance. So let's go through patients that have secondary insurance. These are the patients that have they have a primary plan and they have a secondary plan. So for example, let's say Bill Smith comes into your office. He's your patient, and Bill works, and Bill has a Cigna insurance. Okay, that's terrific. Now, Bill is married, and Bill's wife, Jane, she also works or has insurance, and she has United Healthcare. So when you're completing Bill Smith's claim, when you get to 11D, is there another health plan? You're going to check yes, because his wife is covered, and she has insurance. So you'll check yes to 11D. So if you check yes to 11D, then you have to go back and fill out 9, 9A, and 9D. So Bill Smith's wife is Jane. There's her name in 9. That's her policy number in 9A. And what does she have? She has United Healthcare. So you want to put United Healthcare in 9D. You know, these forms need to get filled out properly. These are very important forms. If you don't fill out these forms properly, if there is another health plan and you check no, let's say there is another health plan and you check no, you've now completed a form incorrectly. And you could be accused of violating the False Claims Act. I know that sounds a little outrageous, but these forms need to be filled out properly. If a Medicare patient comes in and they have another health plan that could possibly pay for the service and you check no, Medicare is going to be very upset. So you don't want to lie on forms, so to speak. I know you might not be doing it on purpose. Your software, your billing company might check no by accident, but if there's another health plan, you need to check yes and fill out 9, 9A, and 9D. Now, some Medicare patients come in and they have like a supplemental plan or they have a secondary plan, so you need to fill it out right. Now, what about Medicare patients that come in that after the PI benefits have been exhausted? Let's say, the patient was in a car accident and they have State Farm insurance. This is a Medicare patient, is in a car accident. They have State Farm, and you're billing State Farm, you're getting paid by State Farm, and then State Farm says benefits are exhausted. And now the patient or the attorney says, well, bill Medicare now. Okay, so how would that work? You go to box 10. Okay, so this is a Medicare patient that was in a car accident. First, you billed State Farm. For some reason, State Farm isn't paying anymore. Maybe the patient got IME'd or the benefits have been exhausted, or for whatever reason, State Farm ain't paying anymore, and now you want to bill Medicare to try and get paid. Well, when you bill Medicare, you check yes to 10B. This is a patient, Medicare patient that was in an accident. Put the state that the accident was in. Then, is there another health plan? You must check yes. So let's say the patient's name is Michael Jones. Okay, so you're going to put Michael's name in 9, the State Farm policy plan number in 9A, And then you're going to put State Farm in 9D, so Medicare knows that there's another health plan involved. So Medicare states that they're precluded from making payments where payment has been made and could be reasonably be expected to be made from regular insurance or PI. Medicare is not permitted to make payment for such association claims unless all insurance plans have been terminated or exhausted. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at box 12. Box 12, this is the patient's authorized signature. I authorize the release of my information. Many doctors in box 12 and staff members in billing companies, they automatically just put signature on file in box 12. They do the same thing for box 13. This is authorization of payment to the undersigned provider. Signature on file, I oftentimes see. I review thousands of claims every year for my clients and my staff. We review thousands of 1,500 forms. And it's just a quick spot check. We ask the doctor or staff member, you've put signature on file in boxes 12 and 13. Do you really have a signature on file, right? You can't just put signature on file unless you have one. So make sure you have one. Where do you get one? Well, the patient could sign a 1,500 form. The patient can sign your welcome form, like your welcome intake form. There's usually a authorization to release information and assignment of benefits on good quality forms. If you don't have a form like this, create a form. But again, you don't want to put signature on file if you don't really have one. All right, next we're going to switch to the bottom portion of the form. That was the top portion of the form, boxes 1 through 13. Now we have the bottom portion of the form, boxes 14 through 33. So let's start with box 14. Date of current illness or injury. So that is the date that the patient first comes into you. If Mrs. Jones comes in today, you put today's date in box 14. That's the way it typically goes. Now, if the patient was in a car accident or on-the-job injury, whenever the accident was, even if it was in 1992, you're putting 1992 in box 14 with workers' comp and PI. But for regular patients, you're typically going to put the date of the initial visit. That's a general rule. And the things I'm telling you, these are general rules. These are the things that you should do. These are the things that work 99% of the time. Of course, there are exceptions. Of course, there are things that could happen. But these things work 99% of the time. You're going to put the date, and then you're going to need to pick a qualifier. You're going to pick 431. That's the one that makes the most sense. When we go to box 15, box 15 says other date. So most of the time, you don't even have to fill this in. If you're having a problem getting paid, then they want to see the qualifier. So for example, 454 is the initial treatment. So you might have the date of the accident in box, let's say box 14. The date of the accident, let's say, was October 15th, but the patient didn't come to see you until November 15th. So that's box 15. Then we'll go 16, unable to work in current occupation. Yeah, typically don't have to fill that out. 17 is for consultation codes or a referral. So yes, I work with quite a few chiropractors and physical therapists that they get referrals from other doctors. So sometimes you're asked to do a consultation or the patient is referred to you. So if the patient is referred to you, especially if you're billing out consultation codes, those are the 99241 through 99245 codes, which are still applicable for many health plans. And a lot of doctors are not using them, and you're probably losing money because consultation codes pay more than regular new patient codes. So if you do get a referral, let's say, yes, I would get referrals. Every once in a while, I would get a referral from an orthopedist. There was an orthopedic surgeon in my town. We had a great relationship. I would refer patients to him. He would refer patients to me. So if he was seeing a patient, this is the way it typically went. He would have a patient, and he would do surgery on the patient. After the surgery, the patient was still not doing well. And then he would try physical therapy, and he would try a couple other things. And then when all else failed, then he would refer the patient to me for a consultation, my opinion, a second opinion to see if I could help the patient. So let's say that doctor's name was Michael Smith. He refers me the patient. I'm going to use a consultation code. I'm going to put Dr. Smith's name in 17. The qualifier is DN for referring provider, and I'm going to put Dr. Smith's NPI number in 17B. If you don't do this, you might not get paid. There are some plans that they want the doctor's own name to get put into that box. They want something in 17. So another thing to be aware of, box 19, additional claim information. You may need to enter the date of the x-rays or the date of the part exam. Some Medicare carriers require that. Next, we're going to move to box 21. This is, the main item that got changed with the replacement when we went from version 0805 to form 0212. This box went from 4 spaces. For those of you, now, believe it or not, I still speak to some doctors nowadays, years after the form changed, and doctors and staff will say, well, there's only room for 4 diagnosis codes in box 21. That's not the case. That was the old form. The old form only, yes, it only had room for 4 diagnosis codes, and they were labeled 1 through 4. I'm about to say the new form. It's not that new. It's 4 years old. The present form has 12 slots. Labeled A through L. And one of the main reasons why it went from 4 spaces to 12 spaces is because of ICD-10. So we're going to get back to box 21 in a second because that's where we're going to go through diagnosis pointing. Next, let me touch on box 24B. 24B, that's the place of service. If you're treating a patient in the office, it's the number 11. Let's say you go to the patient's home. I have a few, probably 10% of the doctors that I work with will go and drive to the patient's home and do a house call. And oftentimes a doctor or staff contact us and say, well, I want to bill more. Do I bill more? Can I bill more? Can I change the codes? Can I change the fees? Can I get paid more? No. The only thing that you would need to do is change the place of service from 11 to 12. That tells the health plan that you went to the patient's home. Now, if you're out of network or if you have some special arrangement, you could charge the patient for driving to your office, that convenience fee, tolls, gas. There are extra fees that you could charge that you could say this is not part of the service. This is an extra fee. So you might be able to charge for driving to the patient's home and doing a house call, but probably not if you're in network with that plan. So if you're in network with a plan or if it's a Medicare patient and you drive to the patient's home, the only thing that changes on the claim should be 24B. 11 becomes 12. Everything else stays the same. And then we go take a look at box 24D. This is where you're going to put in your CPT codes and your modifiers. So examples, a re-exam 99213, modifier 25. For your Medicare patients, spinal manipulation 98940 with the AT modifier. You do manual therapy in a separate region than the chiropractic adjustment, 97140, 59 modifier. Now, recently we have an issue with the GP modifier. Is anybody having problems with this modifier when you bill your Medicare claims? Are your Medicare claims for modalities and therapeutic procedures getting rejected? It could be because of this new rule, this modifier that Medicare has implemented. Some of you listening to this are going, whoa, that's the reason? Because many doctors throughout the country are contacting us saying, I don't understand why our Medicare claims aren't getting processed properly. We do these therapies on patients like STIM and manual therapy, and typically it would go to the secondary, or at least it would come back from Medicare with the right denial code, which is PR, patient responsibility. Now they're coming back with the CO, contractual obligation. It's not going to the secondary. It ain't working. Something isn't right. It's probably because your Medicare carrier has decided you need to add the GP modifier. So they should be submitted with the GP and GY modifiers. If you're submitting the claim again without the appropriate modifier, the claim will be rejected and the financial liability transfers to you, the provider, from the patient. So here's an example. Let's say you do mechanical traction on a Medicare patient and you're going to bill Medicare for denial purposes, or patient may have a secondary plan. There you go. You're going to do manual therapy. GP, GY59. There's room for up to 4 modifiers in box 24D. There's only room for 1 CPT code, but there's room for up to 4 modifiers. Now let's take a look at box 33A. That's all the way in the bottom. That's in the bottom right corner. Bottom right corner is box 33A. So that's if you're an individual practice, you never created a group, you don't have a corporation or anything like that, maybe you're just billing out under your Social Security number, then you probably will use your individual MPI number. But if you've become a corporation, a PLLC, or anything like that, a PA, a PC, then you have created that corporation. You probably are required to get a group NPI number. So that would go in 33A. And then, I don't know, have any of you looked at the back of the form? I was probably in practice about 7 years before I ever turned the form over to look at the back. I didn't even know there was a back. Some of you are chuckling right now because I know when I do this seminar in live audiences, they all go, really? I never turned it over. I didn't even know there was anything on the back. So there's some stuff on the back basically saying, if you fill out this form and you file something that ain't right, you could be accused of a false claim, right? If you fill out your tax return with false information, that could be a problem, right? If you're filling out a mortgage application to buy a house and you're fudging the numbers, you're not, even if you do it, even if you make a mistake by accident, it's still going to mess things up. So you got to have all the right things on this form. It says, for this claim, whether submitted by me or on my behalf by my billing company, complies with all applicable laws, rules, guidelines. The form, the information on this form, I'm attesting to the fact that the information on this form means that the services were medically necessary. So when you submit a claim to an insurance company, you're saying the care is medically necessary. If the notes look like it's wellness, supportive care, then here we go again. You've submitted a false claim. It could be a problem. Let me give you a couple of clinical examples here. So Mrs. Miller, she comes into your office with low back pain and pain radiating down the posterolateral aspect of her right leg and foot. She has some tingling in her calf. She has a history of fibromyalgia. See, these are the things we do with our clients. We give them clinical examples. Every coding consultant, I've been doing this for, over 12 years. I practiced for 16 years, and now I'm a coding compliance expert. So I have this opportunity to share these clinical situations. I have the opportunity to, say, hey, you're using the wrong diagnosis code, because I've been in practice. I know what it's like. Plus, I know how to deal with the insurance companies now and be 100% compliant. So we create these clinical scenarios. We chunk things down. We make things very simple to understand. That's the thing that we hear a lot here from our clients. They say that, target coding, they really explain things very simply and make it very practical. So here, you do an exam, you got straight leg raise at 45 degrees. You see, many years ago, if a patient came into your office with this scenario, with pain in the lower back radiating into the leg, many of you would just say, oh, that's sciatica. And you wouldn't do any ortho neuro tests. You would, it's sciatica, right? Well, you can't do that anymore. You have to do a little straight leg raise, maybe Kemp's, Bechterew, check reflexes. We found spasms, subluxation. So here we're filling out the form M5441. I call it a combo code. That's low back pain with sciatica on the right side. And we have muscle spasm, subluxations, numbness, tingling, fibromyalgia is M79.7. Let's go through another one. Mr. Williams comes in with low back pain, mid back pain, neck pain. So this is a Medicare example. So for a 98941, ideally, it would be nice to have 3 complaints. See, if you're billing Medicare or any insurance company 98941, the patient has to say, I have pain in at least 3 spinal regions. I know that might sound a little unusual. Wait a second, Dr. Kotler. If a patient comes in just with neck pain, that's it. On the patient's intake form, it says, do you have mid-back pain? Patient said no. Low back pain, no. Arm pain, no. Head pain, no. Leg pain, no. I just have neck pain. and now the patient lies down and you're finding subluxations in the thoracic and the lumbar, and now you're going to bill 98941, you could have a problem. I'll tell you why in a few minutes. It's based on medical necessity. So here, we found tenderness and spasm and subluxations and hypertonicity, right? This is a Medicare patient. You want to make sure you're getting as much of the part method in. Here again, we may be different than other coding coaches. We recommend you do the part method on every visit. Every visit. What did you say, Dr. Kotler? We have to do the part exam on every visit? You don't have to do anything, I say. I'm just saying the part method should be done on every visit. What are you talking about, Dr. Kotler? That sounds like a lot of work. I don't think so. I know I'm having a conversation among myself right now, but this is the things that we hear throughout the country from hundreds of doctors. So Mr. Williams came in. Mr. Williams comes in. He's lying on the table. He says he has low back pain, mid back. Oh, no. In this scenario, just neck pain. And you're palpating the thoracic and the lumbar area, and you're going to bill for those areas. Part method. When the patient lies down, aren't you palpating? Yes, there's the P. Are you going to check for subluxations? Yeah, there's the A. Are you going to check for spasm or tightness? There's the T. So without really thinking, you got the P, the A, and the T on every visit. That's a quick crash course in the part exam. And here's another thing with ICD-10. You just got to take it to the next level. Please follow me on this. Please listen to this because it's causing problems. You don't want to have problems, right? You don't want to have problems. You want to prevent problems. You want to be proactive. If you're going to diagnose a patient with, let's say, a sacroiliac joint problem, then do Yeoman's Ganslins. Do 1 or 2 ortho tests. The patient has to have pain. You have to be able to justify every diagnosis code. So here are the things you should do for SI joint findings. You ever diagnose a patient with cervical radiculopathy? If you're questioned, you might get questioned by a case manager, a malpractice case. Dr. Kotler, how did you come up with cervical radiculopathy? Better have a good answer. And your exam better show what you did. So hopefully you would say, well, the patient came in with neck pain radiating into an upper extremity or numbness or tingling. Did Jackson compression, a couple of ortho tests, Valsalva, Sperling. I checked reflexes. I checked for myotomal weakness. I did a positive nerve stretch test. There was limited motion. See, that's how you could answer a question properly if you're ever, on the witness stand. Dr. Kotler, how did you come up with cervical radiculopathy? If you say, well, the patient told me, she had pain in the neck and arm. That's not enough. Oh, this is a page out of a book. This is a book that I highly recommend. I would recommend every chiropractic office get this book. This is this section of the book here. It gives about a whole bunch of, about 25 or 30 of the most common chiropractic diagnoses and the subjective ortho, neuro, and chiro tests to substantiate it. So, yeah, you look at the bottom one, cervical brachial syndrome, M53.1. That's a pretty common diagnosis. Well, how did you justify it? Well, I did Wright's, Adson's. The patient had rounded shoulders, scapular winging. The patient had pain in the neck and some weakness and swelling into the shoulder and arm. Another good thing to do with your 1500 forms is to pair your codes. I compare this to, you ever go to a food and wine festival, they teach you how to pair meat with red wine and fish with white wine. You should pair your CPT codes and diagnosis codes. For example, any of you do 97110? Do any of you bill therapeutic exercises? A lot of you probably do. Well, 97110 pairs beautifully with sciatica, shoulder stiffness, quadricep strain. So in the book that I was referring to, there's a whole section on how to pair your CPT codes to your diagnosis codes. Let me show you a few more pointing examples here. So you look at this example, you look at the first line item, 98940. What's the diagnosis pointer? say in box 24E, it says A and B. A is a herniated disc in the lumbar region. B is muscle spasm. So those are two lumbar codes. So that's what I did. I adjusted the lower back. The next line item is 97140. That's pointing to C and D. Well, in position C, that's cervical radiculopathy, and D, that's myofascial pain. So that's where I did the manual therapy. That's why I used the 5-9 modifier. And then what else did I do? I did unattended electrical stim. Where's that pointing? To E and F. Well, E is thoracic disc degeneration, and F is thoracic pain. So that's a whole nother region where I'm doing the stim. And then I'm doing one more service, 97110. That's therapeutic exercises. Therapeutic exercises. Where am I doing that? Just on A and B. That's back to the lumbar region. So this is a group health example for manual therapy and adjustment, therapeutic exercises, and STEM. Let me give you a PI example here. PI example 98941. That's pointing to A, B, C, and D. So A is a lumbosacral disc herniation or a bulge without radiating pain. And then we have some rotator cuff sprain, and then we have sacroiliac joint sprain, and then we have thoracic pain and spasm. S43.422 is left rotator cuff sprain. M25.512 is left shoulder pain. So what am I doing? I'm adjusting the three regions. I'm doing therapeutic exercises just on A, B, and C, and then I'm doing manual therapy. Massage. You see the 97124? I'm doing that on E and F. That's just on the left shoulder. I'm doing massage on the left shoulder. That's it. So just a few closing comments. Please check with all the carriers you bill prior to submitting claims. We offer many different types of products and services. We do seminars all over the country, webinars. Get your questions in. By the way, we're getting to questions in a few minutes. We have 14 videos that we sell on our website. We do on-site consulting. We have membership programs. Hey, you could even hire us just for 1 hour if you would like. We have a forms, letters, and templates binder that we sell. We do HIPAA compliance programs and Medicare compliance programs. This is the book that I was referring to earlier that had all of these ortho, neuro, chiro tests for the most common diagnosis codes. There's also a section in this book on FAQs. I've been gathering questions for the last 10 years. And some of them might be very basic for you, but I could tell you a lot of doctors don't know the difference between a disc disorder and a disc displacement. How many of you, we got a lot of people on the line, how many of you know the difference between a disc disorder and a disc displacement? Most doctors don't. So we just put together a whole bunch of questions. How do you differentiate between effusion, swelling, and edema? What's the difference between cervical brachial syndrome and cervical radiculitis? Hey, what's the difference between spasm and contracture? What's the difference between myalgia, myositis, myofasciitis? So there's a section on the book on FAQs. You want to know which diagnosis codes pay for the most visits? Go to page 36 of the book. You'll see lumbar, the long-term treatment diagnosis codes. Page 72 of the book has the cervical, the diagnosis codes in the cervical region that pay for the most visits. Page 116 has the diagnosis codes that pay in the thoracic region for the most visits. So it's a good thing to know. We also have these little cheat sheets. We have these cool little cheat sheets. At a quick glance, you could pick the diagnosis codes that are what we consider long-term, moderate-term, short-term. Also, compliance. If you see Medicare patients, even if you see one Medicare patient, you're required to have a Medicare compliance manual. Yes, I know, it's a pain in the butt. Yes, I know, here's another thing you need to do. I know, I got it. I'm here to tell you what you need to do. You don't have to do it, Most people, driving out on the highway right now, they're going over the speed limit. You don't want to be the one that gets pulled over, right? So some of you are gamblers. Most of the doctors that put together compliance plans, they want to be proactive. They want to prevent problems from happening. So that's what I see. Most of the doctors that I work with that sign up for our Medicare compliance program, and by the way, we have these for Medicare and non-Medicare. If you're seeing Blue Cross Blue Shield patients and you don't even take Medicare, you should have a Blue Cross Blue Shield billing and coding policy manual. So that's something that we offer here at Target Coding. We also offer HIPAA compliance programs, which is also mandatory. If you're submitting claims electronically, even if you're storing patient information on your laptop that you take home with you and you're not billing an insurance company, you're still required to protect that information. You're still required to have a HIPAA compliance program. Again, I know, wow, Dr. Kotler, another thing we have to do? Yes, sorry, I'm not going to tell you, this information through rose-colored glasses. You have to do this. It's mandatory. If you get caught without it, you're going to be sorry that you didn't have one. Like homeowners insurance. I know some doctors, they don't have homeowners insurance, and floods, fires, hurricanes have taken their house away. They have no insurance. They've lost everything. I've had doctors, they didn't want to pay their insurance on their office. Fire, flood, hurricane, storm, lost everything. It's up to you if you want to gamble, but you have to have billing and coding compliance manuals. We also do these for physical therapists and acupuncturists. We consult to those of you that do acupuncture, acupuncturists, having a billing and coding compliance manual can prevent problems. I'm dealing with an acupuncturist right now. A health plan wants $600,000 back. We put together a compliance plan. They've dropped the refund requirement from $600,000. We're down to $150,000, mostly because he installed a compliance manual. Doesn't take much. Oh, we also offer membership programs and do seminars and webinars. Oh, we have a physical therapy webinar coming up in a few weeks on March 22nd. Those of you that employ PTs, you're thinking about bringing on a PT, you should attend this webinar. And then on March 29th, we're doing an acupuncture webinar. So those of you that are thinking about bringing in an acupuncture, I could tell you most acupuncturists, they're not billing properly because acupuncture codes are based on time. It's based on 15-minute increments, not the 8-minute rule. And some doctors, some acupuncturists are billing based on regions. No. You get caught, you're going to have to give a lot of money back. So here's our contact information. info@targetcoding.com. Website is targetcoding.com. Telephone number 1-800-270-7044. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. By the way, if you couldn't make it, well, if you hung up, it's too late at this point. But all of these webinars, we upload them. So in the future, if you can't make it through the entire webinar, just go to our YouTube channel, and it's going to be posted. So those of you that watch this webinar and you went, wow, this is good, I want my staff to now watch this, they can. Even though they didn't attend the live, just go to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to, actually, I'll bring it up right now. Just go to targetcoding.com. And here are our social media buttons right here. You just click on the YouTube icon, and then you'll see these are our recent webinars. We do them just about every week, and then we post them, so you can check them out. And here's the website. This is our homepage. Those of you that are interested in the guidebook that I mentioned, it's right here. You just click on the guidebook. Here's the information on the book. It's our best-selling book. So let's get to questions and answers. Just want to thank everybody for attending. I hope you learned a lot.